What are white people superior at?
Oh, God.
Race. Race.
But a second-hand emotion.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. But honestly, when I see things like this, I just think, what does race have to do with it? Like, I was taught at a very young age not to distinguish between races of people, specifically for inferiority or superiority reasons. If it's purely a comedy piece, I won't have any issues with it. Like, if the whole thing's about how white people can't dance, then it'll be funny. Obviously, untrue after what I've just done, but funny. I also don't want to just watch it and go, oh, that's racist, or imagine if a white guy said that, because I think that horse has been beaten to death. Anyway, let's watch together, right here, right now.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Oh, well, according to television, everything. A white man could fly. Even a white woman, she could be 4'1". She knew karate. She could take down 15 people.
And we're off to a great start. I too am sick of the constant media coverage of white guys flying and women doing karate. This is going to be a good video. Now, before I dive into this, I just want to say the reason I'll be avoiding labeling everything that's racist is because I don't find it a very useful term. People associate racism with hatefulness, but honestly, I think it's more correlated with ignorance. That being said, there's obviously people who are both racist and hateful. I don't think you'll find an educated, intelligent, or traveled person who is also a racist, because obviously racism is dumb on a fundamental level. You just take a look at how complex a human is, the structure of our eyes, our large brains, all the way down to our DNA, and to be racist, you'd have to ignore all of that and just say, the only thing I care about is the color of their skin. It's honestly like a child who can only differentiate cars by color.
Wow! A blue car!
Even from a business point of view, like clearly skin color doesn't correlate to intelligence or creativity or motivation. So if you choose to minimize your hiring pool by only hiring white people, you would inevitably minimize your productivity. Mind you, enforced quotas can do the same thing. Also, if you only sell to a small portion of the population, then you only get a small portion of the profits, and a company will inevitably come in and beat you by selling to everyone. Anyway, back to the video. So from what I can tell, this masterpiece is broken down into 3 parts. The comedy show, the bulk of the video, and then what I like to call the point.
White people love their dogs. Like, that's all you see.
I get that you love your pet, but like, you need to take it everywhere? Like, everywhere?
Fuck, man, like making cereal.
Casseroles.
What kind of casserole?
Tuna. It's always tuna. What do you mean? It's always tuna.
Unseasoned chicken.
How are you gonna start whole spice wars and don't even use seasoning on your food? I mean, come on.
Firstly, some light comedy, and honestly, I can't really fault any of these. And even if I could, I don't think it's my place to say what's funny or not. If the intention is to make a joke, then hit or miss, it gets a pass from me. I also do like dogs more than people and pour a mean bowl of cereal. Secondly, we see the bulk of the video, which really serves to separate the human experience of white people versus everyone else.
White people are great at having fun. That's a function of white supremacy because they just don't have as many stresses as we do.
Because a black man thinks differently.
Fear.
Being fearful of nothing. Being ignorant.
Blame.
Letting their egos control their every move. They're superior at being dicks.
Lack of empathy.
Believing that they're superior.
Feeling superior.
Thinking they're superior.
Thinking that they're superior.
Thinking that they are superior.
White people are simultaneously superior of fear and fearful of nothing. They think differently, let their egos control themselves. They lack empathy. And most importantly, they think they are superior. I want to reiterate here that thinking a race is superior is obviously stupidity, but thinking a race is superior at feeling empathy or fear is also stupidity. Life is tricky, and having more doesn't necessarily make you happier. Dave Chappelle talks about this in his most recent special, and he talks about the idea that you don't know what's going on in someone else's life.
Nobody's life is perfect. No matter what it looks like from the outside, you don't know what the fuck's going on inside.
Regardless of what's going on around us, The hardest challenges humans face are internal. Sorrow, loss, hatred, egotism, anxiety, depression. Some of the hardest barriers we push through are mental ones, and that's true whether you're getting up in the morning to wash someone's cars at the lights or going to a comfy office job. If 3 people had an identical pain in their arm, one knew it was from working out, one knew it was an injury, and one didn't know what it was, all 3 people would experience completely different emotional responses. What happens to us is less important than how we respond to it. For me, I think understanding each other's struggles is about showing the similarities instead of trying to show the differences. Empathy comes from putting yourself in someone else's shoes, but this idea that we think differently makes that sound impossible, and it's not. I hate to shove this in the middle, but YouTubers drill into us how effective it is, so if you like this content, please consider subscribing. The third section is what I like to call the point, and I mean that from their point of view and mine.
What exactly are white people superior at?
White people are not superior with anything.
Nothing.
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 There's nothing. Nothing.
I don't believe that they're superior in any way, shape, or form.
White people are superior at nothing. Funnily enough, that is the correct answer, apart from the cereal one. White people are superior at nothing. Black people are superior at nothing. All races of people aren't superior at anything. They're absolutely individuals which excel at certain things. Sometimes more or less of these individuals can come from a particular race, but that's where the facts end. Cultures and races are different in this sense. There can absolutely be cultures that throughout generations have prioritized teaching certain things, and this will absolutely impact the individuals in this culture. But cultures and race aren't the same thing, and I know this definitively because I had a guy from Hong Kong named J Money living with me who'd been in Australia since he was in high school, and even though he had an accent, he was way more true blue Aussie than me. If you think only people of a particular race can practice a particular culture, then I hate to say it, but I think you might be racist. But don't worry, as I said, I don't think this means you're a bad person. I just think it means you're an ignorant one. North Sentinel Island is where one of the most untouched tribes in the world lived. Their previous visits from British explorers didn't go that well, so now they try to attack anyone they see who's approaching. They have had minimal exposure to white people, but their exposure has led them to believe that they are monsters, and from their point of view, they're not wrong. If they met a larger proportion of white people, they would realise their miscalculations and become less ignorant and therefore less racist. Once again, they're not bad people. In fact, from their point of view, they're not even incorrect, but they're ignorant nevertheless. We all know how shit it is to hate something or to hold on to a grudge for too long. Being angry is just punishing yourself for what someone else has done. It doesn't affect them in any way, but it sure as hell affects you. My mate described anger or resentment as putting on your own handbrake. And in that sense, I sort of feel funny for the people who spend their days indiscriminately hating others. I feel bad for how exhausting ongoing resentment must be, and I also feel bad for the situations they experienced which led them to have these beliefs. It's not that anyone cared, but that's some white Aussies' thoughts on race. I may just be privileged, and this may be controversial, but I think we are a lot more alike than this video would have you believe. Cheers.
Race. Race.
But a second